Okay, so I'm going to be building out some of the emails that Duolingo sends to its users to try and help them stay engaged and prevent churn. So the email that I'm going to be building out is this one from Duolingo. It's a progress report email, a weekly progress report. It's got a few different aspects to it that I'm going to try and build out. It's got a logo, it's got a nice illustration which I've downloaded ahead of time and I can add into the email. It's got some personalization as you'd expect. It's got a user's name in, so we'll be building that out. Some text of different styles. It's got buttons in, so we're building those out as well. And then it's got kind of the report itself, a nice card with a chart in. This is based off of XP, which is something which Duolingo does. We're actually building XP and points-based systems into Trophy right now. That'll be coming soon, so I can't do this just yet. So I'll build this chart out based off of lessons completed, which is something that Duolingo tells you about all the time anyway. So, we can't do it on XP just now, but I'll do it on lessons completed, and the structure is the same, or just a different data source, so that should be fine. It's got some interesting stats in here as well, so it's like a percentile. You surpassed 71% of Duolingo learners, so we'll have a look at building that out. It's then got a streak block. This is a daily streak. We'll be doing a weekly streak on ours just because it makes it slightly simpler. But we can have a look at how to build streaks with Trophy and how to use those in emails as well. And then it's got some kind of nicely formatted progress updates. So 13 lessons, 39 minutes. There's a few different user interactions that are being tracked here, and we'll look at how to do that in Trophy and then how to incorporate those into the emails as well. And just some kind of more general text down the bottom, which we'll be adding to our email as well. So a fair bit to get through, but hopefully it'll kind of show you what the email builder can do, the types of things you can set up, and then you can take that away and apply that to your use case if it's relevant. So yeah, let's head into Trophy. And before we start with any emails, I need to set up some of the metrics that are being used in this email. So let's just have another quick look and remind ourselves. So the types of things that are being tracked is lessons and minutes spent on the platform. So we're going to set up two different metrics to track each of those, and then we'll talk about how to use those in emails. I've already done one of these. I've done lessons completed. All you've got to do is come into Trophy and hit new metric. I'll do that now for the minutes metric. So all I've got to do is give it a name of minutes, and save that. And it takes me to the configure page. It just shows me the name. It's pre-filled a key here for me, which is what I would use in my code to tell Trophy that a certain user had spent 5, 6, 7 minutes on the platform, however long that I wanted that to be. And when I do that, it can then keep track of what every user is doing on your platform, how many minutes they're spending, doing whatever they're doing on your platform that is so interesting to them. We can add some units here as well. So for this, I'll just have minutes. So that makes sense, but you can have whatever you like. You could have miles ran, tasks completed, whatever makes sense for your platform. And we can give you analytics based off all of that as well. We can tell you the total number of minutes that are being spent, how many users have had at least 1 minute, and the retention that's kind of bringing to your platform. So yeah, there's lots you can do off the back of metrics to kind of model different user behaviors, and then we'll set those up as we have done. So that's ready to go, and then they're ready to start using in emails. So if I head to the email section, and I go to configure, I can add a new email template. There's a few different options you can start from. For this, I'd probably pick recap, and this will give you like a good starting point for a new email that's supposed to be working for a recap email. But for the purposes of this, to show you exactly how it works, I'm going to start with a completely blank template and just go through each step. So I'll pick that, and this will take me into the new template screen. So let's have a look at what the subject line is, and let's get that going first. If I just come out of this preview, it's just saying Duolingo, did you beat last week? See your stats. So we can do that. Let's get that in there to start with. Did you beat last week? See your stats. I don't need any formatting on there. Let's get rid of that. Maybe I'll just type it in. Did you beat last week? See your stats. Okay, that looks good. I can add a variation to this as well, which is interesting. So if I wanted to kind of randomize the subject line to keep things looking a bit fresh in the inbox, then I could add another variation to say like, I don't know, your weekly report is in. And then at send time, Trophy will pick one of these at random. So each week they'd get, they'd get the chance to get a different subject line. You could also add conditions on that as well. So if you wanted to show different subject lines to different people based on how well they'd done, so you could then include like it's a one that for people that have done really well in the week, you could say, you just beat your record or something like that. People that haven't done so well, you could say, you didn't have a great week this week, but come back and try and beat it, try and pick it up next week kind of thing. So you can do all that with conditions. I won't go through that. There's other videos going through that, but I just thought I'd mention the variations there. But let's get back to the email content. So the first thing we need to build out is we need to add this logo. So all I've got to do in the email will be able to add a new block. It's just hit / and then I can search for different blocks. So we've got one called logo. I can add that in. I've already added the Duolingo logo into this account, but if I wanted to add in my own logo, I just go to the branding page. Let me just save the template. Just head to the branding page, and then you can add in a logo which is kind of globally used across all the emails and other areas of Trophy. You can add a brand color that I've already done for Duolingo and a name and a URL if that's useful. So yeah, I've already done that. So we can get a nice logo in there. And the next thing I want is this kind of owl looking animation. It's just an image, so I've gone ahead and downloaded that ahead of time, and then I can just add in a nice image. Pick owl that I downloaded. That'll go in there. It's probably a bit too big. Let's go for like 100 or something. Otherwise it'll take up the whole thing. That looks cool. Maybe I'll just add a bit of spacing between these two so I can space them out a bit. These space blocks just add exactly what they say on the tin, just a bit of space. And that looks good. Then we've got this line here, which includes the user's name and then just your progress is unstoppable. So that looks like kind of an H1 type thing, or maybe it's more like an H2 because it's not like a full title, but we could try a heading 2 block and do, we can start using the variables now. So we want the user's name. So we can do user.name, and that will pre-fill with the user's name, whoever this email is being sent to at send time. So it'll dynamically update for every user. And then I just want your progress is unstoppable. And that will do it. It's pre-filling from the preview variables. This is just for this view to help me design the email. Is we've got this preview variable section where you can pick a user that's related. If this was related to an achievement email, you could pick an achievement as well. And then you can play around with these variables under here. So I could change the name there. I won't do that, but you could play around with these variables to change things and make it see how they look in different scenarios. That's especially useful when we've got things like conditions, like I mentioned in the subject line. You can have conditions anywhere. Is you can kind of play around with different values and get the conditions to change so you can test exactly how the emails look. So yeah, I'll be jumping back and forward between these two, but I just thought I'd mention what the preview variables are before we go any further. So the next thing we need is this challenge yourself with a new lesson, which is like a slightly lighter text segment. So I'll use a paragraph for that. And what was it again? It was a challenge yourself with a new lesson. Challenge yourself with a new lesson, and then I want that to be center aligned, which it is. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe to make that stand out a bit, let's just do italics. Why not? And then I've got a button here, so I just need to add in a button, which is another block we've got. Straightforward. Button URL. We can do Duolingo. It'd probably be like some kind of deep link URL to the app in real time, but obviously this isn't an app. So that's fine. And what does it say? Continue learning. Continue learning. Cool. Looks pretty good. And then we've got a divider, so I can add that in, and then we're starting to get into the weekly report. So we'll need to look at the dates here and how to get those in and dynamically updating for every email. And then we need a weekly report. So let's add in that divider. And then after that, I can add probably like an H3 for the weekly report, which looks good. And then I just need to add in a paragraph block. So we're doing the March 30th to April 5th. So we need that to update for every email that's sent based on the week that it's actually summarizing. So that needs to be dynamic. And we've got a variable for that. I just need to get that inserted. So it's called aggregation period. It's the period over which the data in this email, or that's behind this email, is being aggregated for. So I just need to, I can basically just search aggregation, or it might be called something else actually. What's it called? It's current period date range. Okay, yeah, period.date range. And that's pre-filled with, I'm guessing, today's range, just because that's what it's showing in the preview, but I could have that be any, that will just dynamically update based on whenever it's being sent, but that looks good. And then we get into the nuts and bolts of this chart and how this works. So we'll be building that now. As I said, we don't have XP and points-based systems just yet. It's something we're building and should be out pretty soon. So I'm just going to base this off of lessons completed metric, but we'll do the exact same kind of setup where we've got some text and a chart and a card. So I'll build out the card and then we'll build out the contents in the card. So we've got pre-built card blocks, and they're really just kind of blocks with little borders around them like this. Let me just add a bit of spacing here. Otherwise we'll get all bunched up. Let's go with 40 so it's consistent. So yeah, let's add that in. And then this window lets me customize the content within the card. So I just want a little sentence here. We want you earned 6% more less XP this week. So for us, that'll be you completed 6% more lessons this week, which we can do. So I just want a paragraph that says you completed. And then I want to start getting into the data that actually is behind these emails and all of the metrics that we've got set up in Trophy. So I can access variables for all of these metrics I've set up. So there's my minutes ones. There's a couple of other ones in this account, just demo ones, so we can ignore those. But what we want is like change this period to percent. That's what we want. So we want you completed that much more against this metric. What's the rest of the sentence? This week. More lessons this week. And then we want you surpassed 71% of Duolingo learners. That's percentile, which we can also do. You surpassed. And then we want a percentile. We want lessons completed percentile this period, not all time, but this period, because it's aggregating over a weekly period. You surpassed that many percent of Duolingo users. Duolingo users. Okay, that looks good. You completed plus 100% more lessons this week. You surpassed 100% of Duolingo users. So this will obviously update based on whatever the user's actual percentages are, and I could play around with those here if I wanted. So if I wanted to say like change this period was 25%, that would update then. Percentile, I'm in like the 94th percentile, then yeah, that updates all good. So then we just need to add in this chart. We've got a pre-built chart block, which is pretty powerful. So I'll just drop that in. It's called the progress chart. It's got this lining to kind of signify that it's a bit more of a heavyweight chart, block that's doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So I can add that in and I can pick any metric that I want. So pick lessons completed. And then I'll just need to change the preview variable to actually get this to show some data. But that's essentially it. Once that's dropped in, it will display the recipient's progress based on their current data. You don't need to do any kind of like plugging together of variables or anything like that. So that's all good. Let me just play around with these variables. If I do a current total of like 200 lesson, change this period as a percentage would be 200 times 0.25, 50 odd, something like that. Try that. Yeah, that looks about right. So we're getting some data. Doesn't matter too much what the numbers are in the preview because it'll be correct for every user that's sent. But there we go. We're getting data showing up. And what's interesting about this is a native HTML chart. This isn't an image that's being generated. There's a lot of issues with inboxes to do with images and emails. Oftentimes mailbox providers like Google and Apple will just mark them as spam. But because this is native HTML, this is divs and tables and paragraph tags, it will just think it's part of the email. So it's much better for deliverability and it's much better for accessibility as well. E-readers and screen readers will actually be able to read this, whereas obviously they can't read images. So yeah, much better solution for charts. And that's the chart. The next thing is a streak card. So we've got a bit of text and a streak. So I'll add that in. So another card, and then within that we want a text, and the text needs to say you're on a whatever streak, which we can do with some variables again. So you're on a streak.length. For us, it's a week streak. Again, Trophy supports streaks out of the box. You can do daily, weekly, monthly streaks based on your use case. And then we give you the tools to be able to build up emails and also give you APIs to fetch streak data so you can display it in your application. You can just check the docs for all the API details on that, but we won't go into that here. This is about emails, but yeah, you can do that as well. Let me just add some spacing between these two because it's getting a bit tight. So 40 spacing again, and then we just need to add in that streak block, which is another one of these kind of powerful smart blocks that we've added. It's, again, tracking data against each user and pre-filling their streak ahead of time. So that will work out of the box. Just need a bit of space there, I think. Let's go for like 30 spacing, and that will do the streak block for me. So that's nice. What comes next? Streak block, we've got these two blocks with different metrics. So this is where the lessons and the minutes will come back in. And we need to add some images on the right and some text there. So we're going to use like a column layout here. We'll have two columns, one that will contain the text and one that will contain the image, both within a card. So if I do a bit of spacing again, so we keep this all nice and neat. 40 spacing, I need a new card, and then within that card I can add columns. We want text to have most of the width, and the text needs to say 13 lessons, so we can do like an H3 tag at the top of that. I should update those autofills. Actually it was just the actual total, so we want metrics. What do we want in there? 13 lessons, so that's going to be lessons current total, so that's the actual total number of lessons that the user completed at the time the email is sent, and then just the word lessons, and then that needs to be left aligned to make it sit to the left side of this card, and then we'll have the image on the right. Underneath that I just need a paragraph that says you completed 3 more lessons than the previous week. So again, a little comparison. You completed, and then we want metrics. We can just search lessons, change this period as an absolute number, not a percentage, but as an absolute number this time. More lessons than last week, and that should display. You completed 50 more lessons than last week, and again, I'll align it left so that it follows this column layout, and that should be good. We just need to add the image into the right-hand column. So we use an image block, and then I couldn't find the exact image that Duolingo was using. It's not on their website, but I found this one. So I use a carrot instead. That's fine. I just need to make it a bit smaller. Let's go for something like 70. See how that looks. That looks pretty good. Slightly too big because there's some space at the top here, so make the image slightly smaller. Let's go for 50. See how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. Actually, I think it will look better with actually a p tag for this. So if I take this and let's add another block as a paragraph, I can make that a paragraph, but then just bold it, and I think that'll look a bit better because there'll be less room around there. So I can delete that, align that left, and that will be a bit tighter. Yeah, it looks a bit better. It's just a lot of padding on that, so we could take a look at that. And then I want another one of these. It's pretty similar, so I'll duplicate that, add a bit of spacing. And then I just need to customize the variables. So we're looking at minutes metric instead, and then we'll just have a different image. So it's basically the same. I can just update this to say metrics.lessons completed, not that, but minutes, current total, minutes, you spent 23 more minutes learning. You spent minutes, change this period, 20 minutes more minutes, learning than last week. Okay, looks good. Let's get some minutes in here. So we're doing like 10, change this period like 45% something. Okay, sorry, 45 total. That looks good. Oh, we just need to change the image. Again, I couldn't find the exact image that Duolingo uses, so I've got another one. I'll just use that instead. There we go. So yeah, that's that section. And I think the last section is just this little section here. So we're going to add a divider, an image, another column, multi-column layout. So we just need a bit of spacing. And then a card. Is it in a card or is it just in the body of the email? It's just in the body, so I don't need a card. I just need a column layout. This time it's going to be, well, it's actually the same kind of widths. Yeah, we just need, oh, it's the other way actually. It's this way. So I need an image here. And again, I'll just use a standard Duolingo image. Make that a bit smaller. I think we use 50. 50. That's column 1. In column 2, we need, you made Duo proud. It's just a nice message, so I'll just write something standard in here. Paragraph, you made Duo proud. And then we can have a paragraph here. And I'll just stick anything in here. Keep going to become fluent. Okay, that will do. So I'll left align these, and then we should be done. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, I can probably shift this over slightly to give it a bit more room. Yeah, that looks decent. Okay, and there we go. It's just a button on the end. A nice final call to action. We'll use Duolingo again and some button text of continue learning. And that's it. I think that's all we need. All this stuff at the bottom is added automatically by Trophy. The unsubscribe link is all managed by Trophy. You don't need to do that yourself. We'll automatically track the unsubscribes and not send emails to anybody that has unsubscribed, and we'll show you exactly how many people have unsubscribed, so you can kind of monitor that as well. That is it. We've created Duolingo's emails. No custom code. We haven't done any coding. We've just dragged and dropped things into the email builder. We've done subject lines with text variations, images, logos, branding, weekly reports with date ranges, all automatically completed and automatically filled in. So a pretty powerful system that you can use to kind of create any gamified email or lifecycle email that you think would be useful to your users. So yeah, hopefully you get some inspiration from that. And if you found it helpful, then try Trophy out and give it a try.